Hello folks and welcome back to the channel. We're diving straight into this week's time trial, and on doing so we have to go and collect last week's. We managed to get gold with the 141.895 at Barcelona. We used the 911, but most of the top boys ended up finishing up on the BRZ, but it was pretty well a hard fight to get that one. I found that a challenge, and it was all about the braking. And again this week I think we're going to find that it's very much critically about braking and how much pedal travel you use. So here it is, the car in this week's trial. This is the Ford Mustang GT7. It's wide-bodied. It's got a front spoiler, front lip. It's got side skirts. It hasn't got a rear valance, but it's got a rear wing, which we're using the mid with the end plates. I've actually added a paint layer, put a roll cage in it. This actual time trial revolves around a fixed HP at a maximum and a minimum weight. And in doing so we've added wheels, and they are both wide and wide in length and wide on fitment. So Sport Softs are the tyre you've got to use. Fully customizable suspension. As I arrived in the server last night, the guys gave me the setup that they were using. They'd got this off the internet. As you can see, you can freeze the frames here and fix it, but ultimately the key is in what's laid out here. Ballast set to a certain level, and here's the gearing again. Pay attention to the actual gear lengths and not necessarily the speeds. They look like they've slightly worked themselves out depending on which gearbox you use, but that is the racing gearbox. We're using the intercooler supercharger, everything else racing, and then the 3 weight reductions and the increased body rigidity. I think you'll find the bore up is used as well. As the screen moves across, we'll get to see that, hopefully. It should do. There we go. Bore up, body rigidity, and the 3 items with the clutch and the prop shaft. Prop shaft hasn't been added, but you can do if it's available. So there we have it, folks. That's the setup. You want to freeze frame that and use it. That was given to me by the guys on the channel. Here's the settings: traction control, default ABS, counter steer assistance there is off. But we're actually going to move that, and we're going to put that on strong. I don't do it on screen, but it will go to strong. Controller settings, here we go. Counter steer assistance to strong. He's hovering over weak, but he's going to put strong. There you go. And then the other settings are 0, 5 and 6. So here we go, we're going to do the usual thing, folks. This was an hour 8 minutes of recorded footage for me. And all I've done is one driving session, and you see the lap count on the right hand side, and we'll start every lap that we do from the same sort of place, on the understanding that this car's going to be really quite slippy. It's quite peppy for being limited to 443 brake horsepower, but what you've got to do is just explore the limits of the car. You see we've got off track there, and then you've got to find where you've got to brake. Now let's talk about the differences or the similarities between this and the last test as we go around the early laps. In Barcelona we were putting a foot through the brake, and we were finding we were sliding on the ABS through the apex of the corner. And you're going to feel exactly the same thing as you run through this, especially on this corner. You're going to find that you run out wide and you run out, and you're not going to be able to get the power down until you get the wheel straight. But you've got to get that into your head fairly straightforward and fairly early. Don't go looping the laps thinking, oh, I can't do this, I'm slow. This is all about you improving yourself. So my recommendations to you folks is to race your own ghost and set your own ghost at 0.4 seconds ahead of where you sit. As you can see there, you can really run quite wide on that run down the corkscrew. So the green seems to be classed as track. As you notice, no penalty. This is a corner here where you have to get in tight. We run it round nice and wide there. But all we're doing is putting a banker lap in, giving us something to target, giving us something to run against. So this is going to be the first lap time. Target time was somewhere in the 1:29.8 when I started this last night, and it was constantly moving. And there we go, a 1:35.188. Got to find your braking point for turn 1, and as you can see, I've already caught up with my Ghost, so we've made up 0.4 of a second at that time. He's gone off track, so we're going to get ahead. One thing I've found as well, folks, put up with your Ghost. If it's in front of you, learn the line. Don't worry about it being in your way. I know it's a pain, it blocks where you're going, but once you start to see it, once you start to feel it, you know where you're going. Look for your braking markers, and we'll talk about them as we go round. Usually I'm braking on this track at the first braking marker, or a physical that I can see. So for example, this turn into this corner is 1 car length after the shadow. See the braking marker on the right hand side? We just before that braking marker. Coming up the hill, rough braking marker is halfway through the road there. Braking before you hit the red and whites, cutting in left, getting a better line through there, diving down. We're well ahead of the Ghost at this point, some 2.2 seconds. I haven't quite got that corner right yet. You can run it a bit wide, but braking into this one, you've got to dive it in. I'm doing it in second gear here, but we'll find that moves up to third gear as we get better and more confidence with the car and how it slides. We missed the apex there because we've actually pushed the brake down too far. So the brake occurs on the left hand side. You can see it where it says track map, there's an arrow to the left. The brake is there. So as I come into this corner, you'll see me apply the brake, and I'll apply it, and you see where it's bouncing up and down where the red's coming clear. That's because the ABS is cutting in, and that's where we get the understanding from that lap in Barcelona that we're braking too hard on the pedal. So this takes us to lap 12. We've got a 1:32.40. We've caught up with our Ghost again into turn 1. We've found the right braking point roughly. This is second gear. Just get the front end to turn in. You can bury the throttle. You can see the traction control cutting in. We've got traction control on 1. It says 2, but I keep it in third gear now. I'm starting to feel and get confident with the car. Up to fourth, looking for that braking marker, which is that first braking indicator on the right hand side. Get the car straight, drive up the hill. Fourth gear, change down once to third, hit the inside of the corner. Now you can start, when you get confident, you can start to straddle that curb on the inside, and we'll do that. You'll see that as we come up as we put the laps in. Slightly better through the apex, quicker down the hill. You want to only turn in one direction. You don't want to have to turn two ways as you go through each of the corner. You want two movements for the whole of the corkscrew, not 4. We change down to second there, we can get a bit more confident. I think braking for this corner is just after the red and white starts on the right hand side. Once you hit that apex on the inside, you can start to drive out. So it was a 1:32.040. We're now going to start to close in a 1:32.406. Let's see if we can put a second lap in. Nope, we just start the lap again. So on to lap 13, on to lap 14. So braking on the first braking marker on the right hand side. You'll see that little braking flag, it's a little square board. We've actually got ahead of the Ghost there at this point. There we go. Now what I did find out about this time is I'm actually much more confident following the Ghost than I am ahead of it. But you can see we've made up a car length, so we're going to be 0.6, 0.7 of a second ahead at that point, and that's confirmed by the purple indicator on the timer. Well ahead there. Started to brake just a little bit beyond that braking board, that very first one. Getting out and getting up the hill, this is looking really positive. So just brake just before the marker. It's a 2, I think it says. Can't see, it's too fast for my old eyes. But as we come up the hill, we're just getting caught slightly by the Ghost, but brake before the red and whites on the right hand side. Cut into that apex, you can put wheels onto the green, beautifully done. See that, just one turn left, then one turn right. Not half a second ahead, which is great, nice and tight. Get it into third, Jimbo, come on, be confident. Back down to second, we're wide on the apex, which is a real shame. We were so far ahead, and this is the lap that told me I'm much better following the Ghost. But I'm much better when we're beating the time. But we're ahead again. So we're improving all the time. That's not bad for 14 laps in, a 1:39.95. So at this point I realised that the time has moved and I'm more than a second away from the target. But we've done really well. We've knocked 4 seconds off in the best part of 14 laps. On to lap 15, which tells us we're going to improve a second lap in the row. And now we're following the Ghost because we've virtually maximised the time, still ahead of the time that we previously set, and we know we can possibly be quicker than that as well because of the way the Ghost was chasing us. So braking just after that first braking marker. Now try and get down onto that red and white if you can. Straighten the wheels early, and we've lost time against the Ghost there. The Ghost is pulling away up the hill. We know he was quick through there, and to see how we got as tight as we could to that apex on that corner. Charging up the hill. Brake just before the red and white. Try and get in that. We really do cut that corner this time. Almost 2 tyres on the gravel. So we're exploring the extremities of where we can go. We're still quicker. Third gear now, James. Come on. That's right. We get a little bit better into that apex. Let's see if we can improve this corner, this final turn. Braking just before that braking marker. It's a 3 actually. Just try and put 2 tyres in the gravel there, I think we did. But it's great, we're closer. 1:38.44. So we're just better by 0.151. There's the next lap. We had a penalty and a half as we came through here. See how the Ghost came running through? We were that much quicker. That was a great indicator of how fast we can be. So we lost 1.5 seconds. We lost the running to the corner. Look how far behind the Ghost we are. You see how far we ran wide on the Ghost on that 1:38.44 lap. And that was some laps ago. This is now lap 26. We're best part of, I would say, 40 minutes into the hour and 8 minutes that we ran. We're still a long way behind the Ghost, some 0.4 seconds behind. So we're 0.8 seconds to get up with the Ghost there we need to make on time. We've already increased. We've improved through that corner. Let's see if we can brake before the 2. We didn't straddle the actual corner sausage there on the inner curb, but we're trying to run a straighter line into braking before the red and whites. Following the same line of the previous Ghost, but we had to take 4 inputs there, which isn't brilliant. Better line in third gear. Look at that, much faster. Even though we're still trailing behind the Ghost, we kept it constant. Third gear still, that's the way. Let's see if we can improve the final turn. A 1:30.844 to beat, and we do close in on the Ghost. Look at that. And we were a whole 1.5 seconds behind. So just imagine if we come through the line at the right speed at that point. A 1:35.96 on lap 27. Is this lap going to restart? Yes, it is. So that was lap 27, on to lap 32 and now 33. We weren't very consistent looking at the past lap times, but on the understanding that we were behind the Ghost, we're now getting ahead of the Ghost because we came through the line much quicker. And this has given the opportunity running against our Ghost where we can be better, faster, and essentially highlight where our mistakes are and get ahead. Look how far ahead we are, 0.815 ahead, and at this point I was having trouble stringing the lap together, getting the right portions at the right time, doing everything right on the same time on the same lap. As you can see, we're being caught by the Ghost. We know the Ghost was exceptionally quick on the second half of the circuit. Let's see if we can put it together now. Here we go, almost straddling that curb. Trying to make that left-hand tyre hit that curb and see if it can hook us round the corner. Again, I'm ahead of the Ghost and I've missed that apex. I've had to do a counter steer to get back in. We're still ahead. We're doing really well. Third gear with the rear end sliding and moving. That's how we want the car. That shows our confidence is building. We've missed the apex a bit. we've given the AI, well, our Ghost, which is being driven in an AI style, that opportunity to catch us up, and the Ghost came through us on the final corner. So we've blown away the best part of 0.6, 0.7 of a second. A 1:33.17. I was starting to get quite excited that we were getting close to the target, which I actually thought was a 1:29.9, I think. There was 2 other people lapping on the same sort of audio circuit as me, and I could hear them getting quite excited that they were close. So we're on to lap 35. We've set a fairly swift time now. We're about 0.4 off what is currently gold, or was currently gold, should I say. And if what we can do is we can now trail our Ghost, which we know is pretty quick, start and end of the circuit, but we know we can improve the last 3 or 4 corners. From the corkscrew on, we know we need to improve. So we've got our braking points. We're still missing the apex. You see how much we missed that there on that corner? And that's about pressing the brakes too hard and sliding through. You see it there as I did it? Here we go. Now the front left tyre is starting to hit that curb. That's where we want it to be. And to get it perfect, it needs to be straddled across it and not touching the red curb. So we're starting to get that in. Wider onto the apex. We're still missing that first apex, but we're getting there. We're getting better. We're following the Ghost. We're getting the back end moving. See how it moved in the Ghost? That's what we want to replicate. Coming down to this corner here, getting the front end to tuck in, getting the back end to push, and that's all about having the counter steer on. I know as we get faster and this Ghost is going to move, the gold time target is going to move, that counter steer is going to start to work against us. But we're just clipping a 1/10 off this one by the looks of it. A 1:30, 1:36. What we know is we're going to have to hit a sub 1:29. Well, sub 1:30. We're going to need to put in a 1:29 to get a good time. As you can see, I missed going through the line there, and I've already given us a disadvantage. Lap 38. Non-stop this was, folks. So we're basically an hour up now. This is an hour done. We're just starting to be constant. Just behind the Ghost, and we're trying to sneak a 1/10 off each time. If we can get within a 1/10, use the Ghost car as the guide. Dive in, improve every corner. Just get better. Try not to brake so hard. Let the car use the non-ABS to actually steer the car. Let's get it in. See how much it upsettled the car when you hit that red curb. We need to be straddling it. We're getting up the hill much faster. Find the braking point before the red and white. Hang it out wide a bit. Cut in. Take the green. Don't do 4 steering inputs. Just do 2. We're 0.4 ahead at this point. We slid so much better through there in second gear. Up to third. Let's see if we can actually get through this corner in third. We do. We've lost a little bit of time to the Ghost, but we're improving all the time. Don't forget, coming level with the Ghost across the line is 0.4 seconds. And that's about where we are. So if we're 0.4 ahead at this point, this will be a 1:37 something. It's a 1:29.833. And that, I believe, folks, is not everything. Lap 40 coming up. At this point I thought we had gold, but somebody in my ear had said, no, it's moved again, you've got to keep going. And I hadn't exited at this point. I was still chugging the laps, starting to feel the car, starting to understand what it was needing me to do. Getting the front end to turn in by not using the brakes too much. Somebody I saw online last week was saying they're cheating, they're not using the brakes at all. Just use the brakes lightly, just encourage the car to stop with half the throttle pedal depth. You can see there I pushed the brake all the way to the bottom of the brake pedal. When I finished the brake, trail braking on half the brake, and that's the difference. You want to be trail braking without the slide. We came through that corner much quicker. The Ghost is blocking a view, but we can see through it. We know where we're going. We're starting to memorise where the points are that we need to hit. Getting through the apex. We've had to counter steer slightly to get through there, which is Not ideal. Let's see if we can do this in third. No, we dropped down to second. We're still ahead of the Ghost though. 0.3 up. Third gear. Try and get that apex. Beautiful. Keep pushing. We're still behind it. But to take 0.2 off at this point is really, really good. See if we can beat him off the line. There we go. We're faster. See if we can see him in our mirror as we keep pushing. There we go. So we're well ahead this time. A 1:29.429. That is quite good for a fat, slow old fella. And I'll leave you to ponder that. But there it is, a 1:29.429. We did 91 miles over those laps. And a 6-star roulette ticket to boot. That's not a bad little reward. We'll see what we'll get for that. But the best possible time, a 1:29.307. So we're only a tenth behind that with our actual total time, which I was fairly happy with, folks. After an hour and 10 minutes of running, that was alright. After last week's emotional highs and lows of being anywhere. So that put us in the top 600, 2.83%. A 1:29.429 is achieving gold. You can see the top rankings there. You need a 1:29.578 when I recorded this last night. And there we are, top of the friends list. I know Az was on working hard, Roger was on working hard, and I've seen some messages from JB today saying this is horribly unfair. However, JB, keep pushing, mate. Hopefully this video can help you. It is a test, and that's what they're there for. I can see this getting into the 128s, I would suggest, for gold by over the next 2 weeks. I think it's going to be particularly difficult. In terms of the setup, folks, I got it off my colleagues, my friends, and they got it off the internet. I couldn't tell you where they got it from, I don't know, but as I arrived on the server, they said, this is what you need, this is what you want. So if you can, go back to those pictures, just pause the video, you'll be able to copy that down. And the critical bits, folks, is in the gears. The gears are what gives you that drive, and it transfers the pep from the engine setup. It's only 443 brake horsepower, so you've really got to push that on. You've really got to get those gears to get it to work. But with that, the global ranking being where it is, there we are, top 600, really happy with that. We've got to do this for the next 10 days. And that's where we are, folks. Have a good one, all the best, we'll see you on the next one. Take care.